This is the Benchwarmers Trivia Podcast. We have assembled the world's finest sports and trivia dorks to prove once and for all that we are just as bad at this as we were at sports.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Benchwarmers Trivia Podcast, sports trivia for those of us who rode the pine. You are listening to episode number 299, and for Mason, that's Wilt Chamberlain's uniform times Michael Jordan's uniform. I'm your host tonight, David, and today's game will feature the Benchwarmer team of Josh and Tako versus the team of Mason and assistant coach for our Patreon team, John Ross. John, you've been on a few times and you've even hosted, so can you just remind us quickly who you are and tell us something we don't already know about you?
Hey, yeah, great to be back. Still living out in Berkeley, root for the Cowboys, Cal Bears, Sacramento Kings. Every day is hell. I'm dying slowly.
Nice.
Other than that, staying busy, putting ads in phone games, going to shows. Been traveling last month, got to Vancouver, got to London, so kind of
Nice.
trying to take this month a little bit more chill. Let's see, something you might not know. I have had 17 teeth removed. Not all at once.
Wow. I'm trying to do the count in my own. Wait, not counting baby, 17 adult teeth?
So 9 baby teeth, 4 adult teeth, 4 wisdom teeth.
Wow.
Shoot.
So you
That's
had some of those
impressive.
baby teeth that just wouldn't give up. They were just hanging on.
Yeah, I got to like 13 or something, and they were just like, time to go, man.
Wow. That's impressive. That's a big number. Are you the one that was once introduced yourself as being in Berkeley, California, the epicenter of the ACC?
How else would I introduce Berkeley?
Yeah, I know. I remembered this as you were just reminding us that you're from Berkeley, because I chuckled when I first heard that, because I live in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, which I always thought was the epicenter of the ACC. Shows you what I know.
Well, that's
Anyway,
the old ACC.
That's right.
We're now talking about the all coastal conference.
That's right. We're talking about the post-global catastrophe where the Atlantic Ocean reaches California. Right. I love it. Okay, Mason, how you doing?
I'm doing okay. When we're recording it, this is the end of the third 9 weeks. So I'm getting a flurry of emails from students really concerned about grades. They should have been concerned about that a while back, but that's neither here nor there. In the sports world, this is possibly my favorite time of year, between March Madness leading into the NFL draft, leading into college baseball playoff. Well, getting to the College World Series, like this time of year is probably one of my favorites, if not my favorite. So I'm really excited to kind of see what's going to happen with all that.
Yeah, it's awesome. In fact, as we're recording this, it's 2 days before the first Major League Baseball game of the year that actually counts, which is just weird that it's so early, but it's because they're playing in Japan. But anyway, so John, Mason, one of you want to give me a team name?
Yeah, so we had kind of been trying to talk with things out, and even though this is an audio medium, John is wearing a Jamarcus Russell jersey. Bold choice, first off. I appreciate it, but bold choice. And so we were trying to think of something related to that. So we decided to go with one of the first things that we thought about, thinking of things with Jamarcus Russell besides just a big bust. And so our team name is the infamous Blank DVD.
Very nice, very nice. All right, I love it. So the infamous Blank DVD. Taco, Josh, who wants to tell us how you're doing?
I'll go first. I'm doing well. You know, the weather, well, for a while there, we were getting some temperatures in the 70s, which felt nice. But then this last couple of days, we've dropped back into the 30s. But the sun's out, and we have more sun now that we've sprung forward. So I like having an extra hour since I don't get up early enough to see the very beginning of the sun. I'm not one of those people. I like being able to have an extra hour at the end of the day. So yeah, things are good here.
Nice. And Taco.
I'm well. I actually had a pretty fantastic sports weekend. Went to the Sharks versus the Capitals. Got to see an Ovechkin goal, number 887. So that was pretty fun. I was trying to time it out so he'd break the record in San Jose, but he slowed down a little bit and didn't quite get there. But that's okay. My and Mason's Gold Coast Suns opened the AFL season with a dominant victory over West Coast. And the F1 season kicked off with the Australian Grand Prix. And that leads us nicely into our team name, the defending F1 Drivers' Champion, Max Verstappen. He's, kind of everywhere, and it might be nice to see somebody else win this season. So our team name, instead of Max Verstappen, we are going to be Minimum Verstappen.
I love it. It made me chuckle a second time. All right. So Minimum Verstappen against the infamous Blank DVD. let's get this rolling. Let's kick it over first to Emeritus Dan for our rules.
The game will consist of 4 quarters of play, each with different trivia style. The styles of quarters 1 through 3 will change from show to show, and I will explain them as we go along. Like any good sporting event, we will have a halftime show after the second quarter with entertainment questions. And in the fourth quarter, our teams will wager from their points accumulated to see who are today's clipboard captains, to be honored like the true benchwarmers they are. All right, let's get this game underway.
All right. Thank you, Dan. Today's first quarter is going to be flop, turn, and river.
Flop, turn, and river. For this quarter, there will be 3 questions consisting of 5 clues. The first 3 clues will be given before the teams decide if they want to check in with their guess. The last 2 clues will be given one at a time, with teams deciding if they want to check in with their guess after each subsequent clue. If a correct answer is checked in after the first 3 clues, the team will receive 50 points. After the 4th clue, 30, and after the 5th clue, 20.
All right. Question number 1 of our flop, turn, and river. Who am I? I played for 9 years in the NFL. I hold the record for most consecutive games with 10 or more receptions, and I had 1,214 receiving yards in my last year in the NFL, the most receiving yards of any player in their last year.
We'll check in.
All right. The blank DVD guys have checked in based on the flop. Minimum ever stopping. Gives you about 35 seconds to talk this out or take another clue.
Okay. Well, I mean, my immediate thought was Calvin Johnson.
I mean, yeah. I mean, you brought up a good point because he did retire early for most players who are that good, which would also then make sense why he would have that, 12-14 in his last year.
Right, because it wasn't like he retired with any drop off. He was
No, yeah.
best receiver in the league, and then he was out.
Well, true to Detroit Lions superstars, you retire when you're still really good,
Right.
right? Like Barry Sanders it. So I can't think of who else would match this. And I think, because we said, because he was drafted in 2007, which means he would have retired around 2015, which sounds about right, but that's crazy to think that it's been 10 years.
10 years? I know. That's wild.
But I can't think of anyone else who would work. So I'm fine, even though we don't have like absolute concrete, yep, that's absolutely it. I think it's worth taking a swing at, especially since they've already checked in too. So let's maybe give it a go.
Sure. We'll check in Calvin Johnson.
All right. And the infamous blank DVD.
Yeah, we were kind of in the same wavelength early on. For a receiver, only play 9 years and have a 1,200-yard season to end his career is probably very rare. And we put together a time frame of 2007 to 2015, feeling right for it. And I'm thinking that 10-plus reception season happened in the one where he almost reached 2,000, which won me a fantasy league just single-handedly off of that because the rest of my team was not good from what I remember. But yeah, we also checked in with Calvin Johnson.
All right. Well, our turn would have been I won the Fred Biletnikoff Award in my junior year at Georgia Tech. And our river would have been my nickname is Megatron. So points all around on the flop. Well done. Yeah, so Calvin Johnson retired. It sort of came out of nowhere, if I remember right. I mean, obviously, to Josh's point, he had 1,214 yards at his last year, and then he decides he's calling it quits. He just didn't have a passion for the game, or something about health concerns and not having a passion for the game, and he was gone just like that. So, anyway, all right. Question number 2: Who am I? The flop. I played college basketball at Oklahoma. I hold the record for steals in a college game with 13, which I set in 1987. And then matched my own record in 1988. I led the NBA in steals for consecutive seasons in 96-97 and 97-98.
We'll check in.
And another pretty fast check-in for the infamous blank DVD. Minimum Verstappen. Again, yours to talk out.
I don't think we have a whole lot on this yet.
I don't. I just like I have a hard time thinking of guys who went to Oklahoma in the 80, the late 80s. That's not a fandom that I've ever been a part of. So
no. Take the turn.
Yeah, I think we have to.
All right, we're taking the turn, David.
All right, the turn. A Hall of Fame rock and roll band from Seattle was originally named for me, but changed their name to avoid legal issues, although they did play tribute to me with one of their album names.
Mookie
Mookie
Blaylock.
Blaylock, yeah.
It is Mookie
Yep.
Blaylock. Yep. Check it in.
All right. And the DVD guys?
Yeah, this is something I knew basically from the second clue. That was the only one that I was for sure certain about, and I've heard this somewhere. And I was almost certain he played at Oklahoma, and it just fit the description of time frame. So yeah, we checked in with Mookie Blaylock.
All right. And our river clue would have been during my career, I played for the Nets, Hawks, and Warriors, and I'm currently at 42nd all time in assists and 13th all time in steals. The 2018 American League MVP was given the same nickname because his parents were fans of mine. So that would, of course, been Mookie Betts, but the answer to this question is Mookie Blaylock. Yeah, so I couldn't remember if this had come on our podcast before. If it did, it was very early on. Mookie Blaylock was the original name for Pearl Jam, and they, in fact, their second album, I forget now. Somebody who's a Pearl Jam expert can tell me was actually 10. They had changed their name because they were worried that Mookie Blaylock would sue them, but then just dedicated the album by using his uniform number. All right, so that's flop points for the infamous blank DVD and turn points for minimum Verstappen. All right, question number 3. Who am I? The flop. I was born in Caroline County, Virginia. I was number 35 on ESPN's top North American athletes of the 20th century. According to ESPN, I have more streets named after me than any other sports figure in U.S. history, more than twice as many as the second place figure.
Yeah, we'll take another clue.
All right. The infamous blank DVD has decided to take another clue. Minimum Verstappen.
I think we're in the same place.
Yeah. I think we'll
Yeah.
take the turn as well.
All right. Both teams are taking the turn. The Turn, a feature-length movie, was made about my life in 2010 and made $60.3 million worldwide.
David,
Yep.
we'll check in.
All right. Minimum Verstappen is checked in. The infamous blank DVD, you have about a minute to make a decision.
Okay. I don't know where we are necessarily with this because I'm trying to think of 2010 sports movies.
Well,
I don't remember 42 came out. I thought it was after 2010. Just spitballing, but
Yeah, I've got it kind of around that period of time, but I within a 5-year range or so. I don't
yeah,
think
I think it personally, I think it's closer to 2015, but I don't know if it is. 2010 feels early, and I feel like it might have made more than that. But
that's a good point. Yeah, that does seem on the lower side.
yeah,
Yeah, and
it's just hard to think of athletes that are common and recognizable enough to be named in streets all over the U.S. Okay, they have a movie made about them in 2010. The Virginia part doesn't help anything. Fairly good, like very good athlete to be 35th. I don't have anything concrete here that I feel good about. And we only lose 10 points for taking the last clue, which will probably be a giveaway. I'm okay going one more.
Yeah,
And if it was Jackie Robinson, then we'll just have it in our hearts that we got it before that. But I don't know. It could be somewhere completely out of left field for this. Like I don't know.
could still be a horse.
See, I know you jokingly said that, but I'm like, I can't imagine anyone naming a street after a horse in Louisiana, for instance. Like, okay, it's going in Chalmette, Louisiana, and there's Seabiscuit Drive. Like, that doesn't work out for me. Like, I don't know. It could be. I don't know why you would name streets after horse
Yeah, no,
necessarily in places that it wouldn't be horse racing wouldn't be big. Yeah, we'll take the last one.
Okay, our river. Not only did I win all 3 Triple Crown races in 1973, but I still hold the fastest time in all 3 races.
So it's Secretariat then. I jokingly threw that out there when you said horse earlier. I was like, oh, it's a Secretariat, and you mentioned Seabiscuit. I'm like, okay, I need to know the story about naming streets after Secretariat.
We'll
I
get
need some background on. Okay,
Is that a check-in?
so yeah, we're gonna check in Secretariat.
All right, let's go back to Minimum Verstappen. What do you guys have after the turn?
Yeah, we really had nothing initially, and then I was looking at the flop, and I was like, why would you say a county? Because usually when you're talking about where somebody is born, you're giving a city. So I was like, why is this? But there wasn't enough there to lead me to where the turn did. But as soon as you said a 2010 movie, I was like, well, Secretary came out in 2010. It helps that I've been looking at a lot of sports movies for, say, ChatGPT halftimes and seeing when, So as soon as that was there, and then it made sense that, okay, a horse, you might say, was born in a county rather than a particular city. And then Taco, after I said that, he said that the use of sports figure instead of, person or, athlete or player type thing in your the street name one also kind of stuck out at that point. So, yeah, we also checked in with Secretariat.
And both teams are receiving points. Yeah, well, Josh, you broke that down absolutely perfectly. That's why I used the county and not the city. It was supposed to be a very subtle hint. Mason, to your point, ESPN did a study, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago. I asked one question about it because horse racing, by far of all sports, has the most number of streets named after them. And I'm sure a good number of them, I never said they were scattered around the U.S. anywhere in the question. I'm sure most of them are in Kentucky, maybe in Virginia, right? But Secretariat has 263 streets around the U.S. named after him. Number 2 on the list, by the way, to be clear, number 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, Citation, Whirlaway, Seabiscuit, Man-O-War, and Seattle Slew. So the only one that's actually in the top 7 that's not a horse race, a horse. Any guesses?
Muhammad Ali.
No, that would be a good guess, actually. The answer is Dale Earnhardt.
Oh,
We mentioned him as
sure.
a possible
Okay.
flop. We
Yeah.
thought about him there.
Yeah.
It just didn't
There-
fit everything else.
After the first quarter, we have scores. It's a very close game. Minna Verstappen has 110 points, just behind the infamous blank DVD, who have 120 points.
We wanted to let you know that we are on Patreon if you'd be interested in supporting us financially. Your contributions will be used to help us cover the costs that it takes to bring you the high-quality sports trivia you have come to expect from us. There's also some great perks that come with the Patreon membership to the Benchwarmers Trivia Podcast, including bonus episodes and Benchwarmers swag. You can find us at patreon.com/benchwarmerstp. Thanks.
Today's second quarter is going to be the missing link.
The Missing Link. This quarter will consist of 5 questions with theme-linked answers. The teams will attempt to answer the questions and guess the theme. Each question is worth 20 points. If a team checks in first via chat to the host with the correct theme before the 5th question, they will earn 100 points. The other team can still earn 50 points with the correct theme guess. If neither team has checked in with the correct theme before the 5th question, each team can earn 50 points with the correct answer to the theme after the 5th question.
I got curious, so I looked up Caroline County, Virginia on Wikipedia. Also born in Caroline County, Virginia, John Wilkes Booth.
Wow.
There you go.
It's pretty rural, I think. It's sort of significantly south of DC, I think. So anyway, not a huge population. Okay. Question number 1 of our missing link. He won the 2014 Jimmy V Award at the ESPYs. When he passed away in 2015, Barack Obama paid tribute, saying that this man, quote, ushered in a new way to talk about our favorite teams and the day's best plays, end quote.
We'll check in.
All right. Infamous blank DVD has checked in, which brings us to the minimum Verstappen. 2 minutes to talk it out.
I think this is Stuart Scott. He definitely won the Jimmy V shortly before he passed.
Yeah.
The quote makes sense that it would be about, a sports journalist, especially with the day's best plays. Scott being one of the preeminent Sports Center anchors of the heyday of the 90s and the 2000s.
Yep. No, I agree.
Cool. We'll check in Stuart Scott.
All right. And the DVD guys?
Yeah, we send that over to each other right away. Just all the wonderful catchphrases that he ushered in as a Sports Center anchor. So yeah, I'm checking the Stuart Scott.
And both teams are receiving points. Yeah, the last time I remember hearing Stuart Scott's name, somebody mistakenly said wanted to punch him in the face, but it turned out it was wait, who was it? They were actually confusing
It
him
was
with?
Stephen A. Smith.
Stephen
Stephen A. Smith, who I remember hearing that because it was before I was on the show. And for the record, Stuart Scott always seemed like a wonderful human being to me, but I still want to punch Stephen A. Smith in the face. I cannot stand that guy. Every time he talks, I'm just like, he drives me crazy. Anyway, all right.
You don't want him to be the Democratic presidential nominee, and
Yeah, there's a betting market for that now. I
Yeah,
saw
wouldn't-
someone post
wouldn't be
about
my
that. People can bet
choice.
on that.
no, I don't know whose choice it would be.
I have the enemy of the enemy is my friend situation with Stephen A. Scott, just because or Stephen A. Smith. See, I did it again. Because he makes Skip Bayless so mad, and I like anybody that makes Skip Bayless really mad.
That is a good point. That
It's
might
true.
be
That's not
the
enough
one
for me.
redeeming quality.
The reason I'll get onto a tirade about Stephen A. Smith. I'll sound like Ed talking about Dak
Yeah.
Prescott. I don't want to
So
get there.
shout out to John Pino. We understand it wasn't actually Stuart Scott, but you given us
It lives on.
years and years of laughter over
Yes,
the Stuart Scott bit. So
that is awesome. All right, question number 2. The given name of the NBA star who, on occasion of his 2016 retirement, The Onion wrote, quote, "An NBA legend rides into the sunset at a safe and prudent speed," end quote.
okay, we'll check in.
All right. Minimum Verstappen. Oops. Minimum Verstappen has checked in. The infamous blank DVD. I'll give you a minute and a half to talk this out.
I think we're on who it is. I guess a given name means we're giving his full name, like his instead of just the part of his name he's known for. I'm guessing.
Yeah, like I remember the Onion would always do so or we can say the name, right?
Yeah, because I think we're
They're
going
checked
with
in.
that.
You can go with anything you
Yeah.
want.
They would always do
Yes.
stuff with Tim Duncan, like it was like like rumored to have had platonic relations with 10,000 different women or 25,000 different women or something like that. So that seems very on brand there. But I guess in terms of what it's actually asking for, would that be like Timothy Duncan? I don't know if that's his given name, but like
I imagine it probably is. I don't know his middle name. I can't give you that, but
yeah, it's like if it's something other than Tim, or not Tim based, I have no idea. So
so we're gonna go with Timothy Duncan. That sounds weird to say it that way. I don't think anyone's ever referenced him as that, but I guess we are for the purpose of this. So that's what we're gonna check in with.
All right. And minimum Verstappen.
I'm glad they talked about that a bit because I totally glazed over the given name part of this. Now he probably would have given us the points anyway, but yeah, this is the big fundamental. Just never, everything consistent and to the book. I guess, yeah, Timothy Duncan.
Yep, both teams are receiving points, and John's spot on, right? I did this actually once in a flop turn river because I made a whole flop turn river about Tim Duncan, and I think Mason, you may have been on that episode. There were just so many great things that he did. I remember that the Onion wrote that one of my favorites was he reports his 5th straight successful New Year's resolution. I know another one was that he urges teammates to be patient with frequent flyer miles. That was another one of my favorite Onion headlines for Timothy Duncan. So yes, our themed linked answers thus far are Stuart Scott and Timothy Duncan. Question number 3. In 1985, what specific injury did all-time great Ronnie Lott suffer when tackling Cowboys fullback Timmy Newsome?
We'll check in.
All right. The infamous blank DVD has checked in. Minimum Verstappen. 2 minutes to talk it out.
I'm just trying to figure out what exactly, like, how he wants it worded. Because I know Ronnie Lott, like, broke his pinky finger so bad he, like, had it amputated.
Well, I think he told them to like cut off I thought it was like he told the trainers to like cut off the, first knuckle or whatever while it was broken so he could go back in or whatever.
Right.
Or
It was
something
like,
weird like that.
it was like amputating it would save on recovery time versus having surgery on it or something. David, I don't know if that's enough, but broke his finger so bad he had it amputated. We'll check in with some version of that.
That'll work. All right. And the infamous blank DVD, what did you guys have?
Don sent this to me right away, and the phrasing we went with, which was we said fractured, but he didn't break it, so we had both of that. But fractured broke a finger is what we're checking in with.
Yeah, the way I read it, it was a crushed pinky. And everything that Matt and that Taco and Josh said is right. My memory was that he had it amputated so he could come back the next season quickly because he would have had to do reconstructive surgery on a finger. It's it's also the mid '80s, so take that for what it's worth. But yeah, so I wrote it as crushed pinky. So our themed linked answers thus far are Stuart Scott, Timothy Duncan, and crushed pinky. Question number 4. Popular Red Sox second baseman of the late 70s and early 80s, who after his playing career would work as the Red Sox color commentator for 24 years before succumbing to lung cancer in 2021.
David, we'll check in.
Okay, Minimum Verstappen has checked in. That gives about a minute to the infamous blank DVD. to come up with a name.
Okay, so I had an end to this because I think on this podcast, this question, someone was asking this question, and it was a very generic question. And I remember some statement that I made, like he was born, he played for the Red Sox, didn't do anything else for the rest of his life. Because that's the summary of it, because I couldn't remember, I didn't know anything about him. And I only remember the first name is Jerry. And I think John gave me the last name, which somehow it worked out. So I think his name is Jerry Remy. So that's what we're going to check in with.
And Minimum Verstappen, what you guys have?
We checked in with the same Jerry Remy.
All right, well done. Yeah, so he was incredibly popular. Everybody liked this guy because he was one of these local scrappy types, and those are the guys that go over big in Boston, it seems. But yeah, Jerry Remy was extremely popular and a pretty good second baseman, although he never really hit much. All right, our themed linked answers thus far are Stuart Scott, Timothy Duncan, a crushed pinky, and Jerry Remy. Question number 5. The list of Major League players who have had their uniform number 7 retired include Craig Biggio by the Astros, Ivan Rodriguez by the Rangers, Joe Mauer by the Twins, and this player, whose number 7 was retired on June 8th, 1969.
Check in.
The infamous blank DVD has checked in almost instantaneously. Man Verstappen, we'll let you talk this one out.
Do we really need to talk it out?
I don't think we do because you put it into the chat before the question was asked. So
I think you're talking about me. I was nervous.
No.
I think we're feeling pretty confident about it.
Yeah, we'll check in with Mickey Mantle.
All right. And infamous blank DVD, what you guys have?
Yeah, I'd pre-called this before the question came up, so I'm glad we didn't have to think about it too hard. Yeah, we had Mickey Mantle as well.
All right, Mickey Mantle is correct. And that means that our theme linked answers in total are Stuart Scott, Timothy Duncan, Crushed Pinky, Jerry Remy, and Mickey Mantle. Both teams have submitted correct answers. One of them got it in right around when the third question was being read, and that was the infamous blank DVD. So Mason, assuming this came from you, or if John, whoever wants to talk to it, can break this down for us.
Surprisingly came from me that we didn't really have a whole lot, but for you asking Timothy specifically, I was like, okay, Stuart and Timothy, first names, does that lead anywhere? And I came up with this wild connection. And as soon as we were thinking out the third question, I thought about why the phrasing of it, of like, you're going to give me something else as far as a specific answer. That's when I thought of, oh, Pinky works for this too. So I sent in famous mice as an answer. And I was if you need to be more specific. But yeah, Stuart Little and Timothy Mouse from Dumbo, if I remember correctly. And then everything else worked. And the fourth one actually works twice, which is very clever.
That's right. And that was intentional. So well done. Yeah. So it only sort of works twice. The reason I worked that in is because I was originally thinking about doing famous mice and rats. And there's, of course, Tom and Jerry, but there's also Remy from Ratatouille.
Yeah.
So that's why Jerry Remy was there. I also thought about doing Gus Johnson because Gus was the main mouse in Cinderella. I thought about Anthony Rizzo because Rizzo is the rat in
nice.
in the Muppets. I even thought about doing the Mighty Ducks for Mighty Mouse. So anyway, yes, but everybody got it. Well done. Well done. All right. So at the end of our second quarter, buoyed by hitting the missing link early, we have the infamous blank DVD out to a lead with 320 and Minimum Verstappen with 260. But still plenty of time to go. And that brings us to halftime.
It is now time for the halftime show. There will be 3 entertainment questions pertaining to sports, with each question worth 25 points.
It's time for the likely last edition of Dad Jokes Meets the Benchwarmers. Taco and Josh have not done this yet, but each answer is going to be a popular idiom or proverb. For example, if I said, I'll use the same examples as last time. Make sure quarterbacks Norm Van Brocklin, Dan Fouts, Joey Harrington, Marcus Mariota, Justin Herbert, and Bo Nix are properly lined up. Your answer would simply be, make sure your ducks are in a row. Or it could be like this. I'll trade you the Memphis basketball coach for your opinions. Your answer would simply be, a penny for your thoughts. Question number 1. The last NHL expansion team that was added in a city which had previously had an NHL team. The reliever who gave up George Brett's Pine Tar home run and the NFL's 2024 leader in receptions and receiving yards team up in a foolish pursuit.
We'll check in.
All right, the infamous blank DVD has checked in. Minimum Verstappen, you can talk it out.
That's very funny. I think I got it, Josh. The last NHL expansion team would be the Minnesota Wild. The reliever is Goose Gossage, and the 2024 leader in receptions is Jamar Chase. So a Wild Goose Chase.
Oh boy.
I told you they're dad
That's his
jokes.
response.
I guess Josh hasn't listened to an episode. All right. Is that a check-in?
Yeah, let's check it.
All right, John and Mason.
Yeah, no, kind of went back to front on this one, like you're supposed to, and yeah, I got to Jamar Chase and then worked backwards to Wild Goose Chase.
All right.
Did
Well done.
did Seattle not have an NHL team at one point before the Kraken? For some reason, I thought they had a team there, but maybe not. That my brain. So I was going Kraken. What?
Cracking open a cold one.
That's a Kraken Goose Chase.
Yeah.
That's. I'll have to think about
All
that.
right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Taco, for getting there because my brain wasn't going there when it apparently was my team was the answer to the first one. Whoops.
All right. Question number 2 for our dad joke halftime. How often the 1971 switch hitting pitcher who won the AL MVP hangs out with the only QB in both the CFL and NFL Hall of Fame?
We'll check in.
All right. Once again, the infamous blank DVD has checked in. Minimum Verstappen. Yours to talk out.
Oh, that's good. That's very good, David. Okay, I think I got it, Josh. If I'm right on this, the 1971 switch hitting pitcher would be Vida Blue, and the quarterback is Warren Moon.
I had the second half. I had the Warren Moon. So Blue Moon.
Once in a blue moon. Yeah.
Oh,
check
once.
it.
How often?
Yeah.
Did it once in a blue moon? Yikes.
Josh's reaction is worth the price of admission. Yes. All right. And the infamous blank DVD, what you guys have?
Well, we sent this the same time to each other. So we checked in once in a blue moon.
And both teams are receiving points. Yeah, the Vida Blue fact is one of those fun ones because very few switch hitters win the MVP. But for a while he was like the last switch hitter to, and nobody ever knew that. Everyone goes back to Mickey Mantle or Chipper Jones or whatever, and turns out Vida Blue was a switch hitter as if it mattered. But anyway, yeah, okay. Question number 3. Don't worry, Josh, it's almost over.
Do we have to do a third one?
Exactly. Okay.
You've been doing fine.
Yeah, you've been doing
Taco's
fine.
been doing fine.
You can, Josh. You can take a seat in the Mason Memorial halftime timeout chair if you want.
Now you
You
know
can
how it
handle
feels.
Yeah,
You know
you're
how it
doing
feels
fine.
to be
You're doing just
clueless
fine.
on halftime.
The Mason Memorial halftime timeout chair.
I like
Half
that a
time
lot.
out chair.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, halftime out chair. Nice. Well done. All right, question number 3. A commentator who pissed off Jim Everett by calling him Chris couldn't be constructed inside the Ohio State football coach.
Check in.
Now you're just getting cocky. All right. All right. Finally, Minimum Verstappen is checked in first, which will give the infamous blank DVD a chance to talk this out.
This is just it would be weird if he was built inside of the guy. Just phrasing of it's kind of strange. But anyway, yeah, this is Rome wasn't built in a day for Jim Rome and Ryan Day. We'll go with that. Check it.
All right. And Minimum Verstappen?
Yeah, the imagery is a little unsettling on this one, but we also checked in with Rome wasn't built in a day.
I actually had that one front to back. I had that.
I knew you did because that's why I checked in for you without checking in. Because I was like, Josh, I didn't even have it at first. I was like, I look in Josh's eye. I know he's got it.
You were quicker. I was still trying to decipher the second half as you had already checked in when I was reading what was put in the chat. So, but I had it. So, but God, please let that be the last ever.
I'm starting to like it. It's growing.
You should
on
go
me
back.
now.
There were some other ones that were pretty good, Josh. You need to go back and hear my last couple of half times.
Are you sure I have to?
No, not half. Half was a little bit strong.
Encouraged to.
Encouraged to. Right? Exactly.
I'm showing my stripes that I have not listened to every episode of our podcast.
You should. All you have to do is go hear the half times. You don't have to listen to the missing links. I told you I would only do stretches when you weren't here. All right. So everybody had a perfect halftime, which means that at the end of halftime, our scores are the infamous blank DVD is still in the lead with 395 points, and Minimum Verstappen has 335 points. Today's third quarter will be David versus Goliath.
David versus Goliath. This quarter will consist of 3 pairs of questions, one easier, David, and one harder, Goliath. After hearing both questions, the teams will pick one of the 2 questions to answer, either David or Goliath. Each David question is worth 25 points, and each Goliath question is worth 50 points.
All right. These are just random questions with no particular theme pulling them together. So
What?
How
That's not
dare
how
you?
this works. That's
I
not
want
how
my
That's
money
how
this
back.
works.
There's no qualification. So, question number 1 of David versus Goliath. David, what non-Hall of Famer played from 1963 to 1986 and holds the Major League record for games played with 3,562? Goliath, what non-Hall of Fame pitcher played from 1979 through 2003 and holds the Major League record for games pitched with 1,252?
We'll check in.
All right. The infamous blank DVD has checked in. Minimum Verstappen.
No, I think we have our answer. We just we were getting to the point of just verifying to check in, and then they checked in. So the first name that popped for both of us. Why am I blanking on his first name?
John Franco.
John Franco was the first name that popped for both of us, and then I started thinking, okay, what other play? Because I'm guessing Franco's got to be somewhere in the top 5, I would think, because he pitched, for a long time. And I was thinking, okay, what other relievers? Because I was thinking it's got to be somebody who at least mostly pitched as a reliever, maybe their whole career, or at least most of it. And then I was thinking of longtime lefties, and I was like, Jesse Orosco pitched forever. So and we both liked that, and that felt like a more of a Goliath answer than John Franco. So we're checking in Goliath with Jesse Orosco.
Okay. And the infamous blank DVD.
I'm liking that name now that they said that. Did not come up for us at all. The only name I could think of for Goliath was John Franco, but I was almost certain he started and ended after the years that were given, even though the number of years is close. But we didn't have anything very strong, so we just went with Pete Rose for the David.
Both teams are receiving points. David is, of course, Pete Rose, and Goliath is Minnesota Twins legend Jesse Orosco. He finished his career with the Twins. I think he pitched like 5 games or something. I don't even think he had a save. I'm not even sure he was even the closer.
I don't think he was. No.
It took me a long time and a lot of therapy to even write a question about Jesse Orosco, because he recorded the last out in the '86 World Series, which, as everyone knows, before the Red Sox won, that was absolute torture for Red Sox fans. But anyway, yeah, I think the only thing I would question about what you guys all said was I don't know that John Franco would be any less of a Goliath answer than Jesse Orosco.
Just for some reason, because that was the first name that popped in our head.
Oh, okay, got it.
To me, when you talk about a pitcher who's pitched a lot of games, that's the first name. But I wanted to think a little bit beyond gut reaction to be like, is there someone else? And then also, Taco was kind of questioning the time frame also for Franco to match the time frame.
And also Franco's got like 400 career saves. Like he's in the top, 15, 20 on the career saves list.
Yeah.
Like that's
he was one of these guys who was
name.
It was a very different time when you had those kind of short relievers, because even when they weren't closers, they would come in and pitch to one batter or whatever, and so they could pitch 90 games in a season. So anyway, yes, Franco is actually so Orosco is number 1, Franco is number 3, number 2 is Mike Stanton. But anyway, okay. So David points to one team, Goliath points to the other. Well done for everybody. Okay. Question number 2, David. In the 2024-25 season, what rookie quarterback started in the NFC Conference Championship game? Goliath. In the 1999-2000 season, what quarterback became the first rookie to start in the NFC Conference Championship game?
David, we'll check in.
All right. Minimum Verstappen has checked in. The infamous blank DVD. Guess I have a minute to talk this out.
So we're both in the same ballpark. I'm just trying to remember if we're thinking of the right NFC Championship game for 99-2000.
99-2000 is
Rams.
Greatest show on turf, Rams, and I remember there being a game with the Burt Emanuel non-catch, and it was like a very gross score. It was like 11-6 or something like that.
Yeah, I knew it was I remember there being a low scoring game, and I for some reason I thought it was Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I know Emmanuel was on the Falcons for a while, but I think he was on the Bucks by that point. And like of the other rookie guys in the era that had success and were in the NFC, like we don't think it's Dante Culpepper.
No.
I think Sean King the most.
Yeah, it has to be from the 99 draft. So that's Tim Couch, McNabb, Achilles Smith. Like we're talking about that.
Yeah, McNabb.
That draft.
I don't think we're getting to something better than Sean King.
Yeah, that fits the time frame. If we're both thinking it's the Bucks, or at least thinking in the ballpark, then I think it has to be. We'll go Goliath, Sean King.
All right, and minimum Verstappen?
Shout out to, I think it was Apocalypse Sports Trivia had a question very similar about rookie starting conference championship games. It was tethered to my stock answer for rookie starting conference championship games, which is Mark Sanchez. But it was the other answer that I didn't have to give, thankfully, because I didn't know it at the time, but I know it now. It is Sean King.
Both teams are receiving points. Yeah, he was the obscure guy on this list. This list was floating around a lot this year when Jaden Daniels, who of course is the David answer, started for the Commanders. The other guys who've done this are Sanchez, Flacco, Big Ben did it. Brock Purdy did it. This could have been a good but a hard 5-on-3. But anyway, yes, the correct answer is Sean King, and Goliath points all the way around. Our final question in David versus Goliath. David, in 1997, what Red Sox shortstop set the record for longest hit streak by an AL rookie by hitting safely in 30 straight games? For Goliath, in 1987, what Padres player set the major league record for longest hit streak by any rookie by hitting safely in 34 straight games?
We'll check in.
All right, the infamous blank DVD has checked in. Minimum Verstappen, you got a minute to talk this out?
Well, it helps that 1987, I purchased probably more baseball cards than any other season. I think I had, at one point, 4 complete Topps sets.
Wow.
I no longer kept all of the sets. Really aren't worth a damn typically. But I'm pretty sure that a rookie who was pretty good for the Padres was Benito Santiago. So that's what we're checking in with for Goliath.
All right, and the infamous blank DVD?
Yeah, we didn't have much on Goliath, honestly. Not many names came to mind that made sense anyway. So we just stuck with the David. And actually, fortuitously, I just watched a video not that long ago on YouTube about the person's career. It's like talking about like what went wrong and all that. But yeah, we're going to check in with the David, Nomar Garcia Parra.
Both teams are receiving points. Yeah, Josh, spot on. Benito Santiago was an excellent catcher, but a lot of people don't remember that he was quite a good hitter, and to burst onto the scenes with a 34-game hitting streak is actually, it was a lot of hype at the time, and with good reason. And yes, Mason, I'd love to send me the link to that video. I'd love to see it. After the third quarter, we have an even closer game. Our scores are Minimum Verstappen has 485 points, and the infamous blank DVD has 495 points. And that will bring us to the fourth quarter.
The fourth quarter, known as Put Your Fours Up. This quarter consists of 4 categorized questions that teams will wager up to 100 points each, not to exceed their current point total.
Our fourth quarter. I've done this once before. We're going to try it again. Question number 1, born in 1955. Question number 2, born in 1965. Question number 3, born in 1975. Any guesses? Question 4, born in 1985. Born in 1955 will be Major League Baseball. 65 will be the NBA. 75 will also be Major League Baseball. And 1985 will be the NFL, or specifically the NFL draft. It's now time for the teams to place their wagers.
We'd like to take a minute to invite you to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at BenchwarmersTP. We also have a Facebook group for fans of the pod called The Bench. Join us there to comment on the latest episodes and share cool sports facts and trivia. If you'd be willing to rate and review us on iTunes or Stitcher, we'd greatly appreciate the support so that other people may find this podcast. Thanks.
Okay, now that the wagers are in, on to the questions. Question number 1, born in 1955. Besides Joe Torre, he is one of 2 managers to win 4 World Series in the last 50 years. But unlike Joe Torre, he has a career losing record as a manager.
David will check in.
Minimum Verstappen has checked in. The infamous blank DVD, 2 minutes.
Okay, so someone that's 70 now, 69, 70.
Recently active, or not like an old timey baseball guy.
4 World Series. So, you know who might fit that? I think he does have 4, because he would have been 3 with the Giants, and then 1 with the Rangers would be Bruce Bochy.
Bochy, yeah. And
he has 4 in the last.
Not great outside of the year. They would be good in the even years famously.
Right.
So that makes a lot of sense.
And he's about the right age. I was just trying to think of of dynasties, like teams that won a lot of times in that time frame recently. I mean, just thinking besides the Dodgers. But yeah, Giants won 3 and he won 1 with the Rangers, unless I'm misremembering. But that's 4, and I could definitely see him having a losing record.
Yeah, I'm thinking like Dave Roberts or Dusty Baker or any. I can't
No.
think of anybody else that makes more sense than that.
Okay, we'll check in with Bruce Bochy for 100.
And minimum Verstappen.
I think Mason is my new favorite bench warmer because he called the Giants of the early 2010s a dynasty. And I love that for me.
There you go.
Yeah, this has to be my manager, Bruce Bochy, for 100 points.
Big-headed
That's right.
manager.
Yeah. Huge head. And he used that huge head to lead teams to 4 world championships.
And it made 2 bench warmers extremely happy in the process of those.
Absolutely.
That is true. That is very true. And both teams are receiving points. It is Bruce Bochy. He's actually 69.
Nice.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Yeah. His birthday's in April, so he's not quite 70 yet, but it's right around the corner.
Happy birthday. By the time this comes out, it might be close to his
That's
birthday.
right.
That's
right.
right.
It could come out right around Bruce Bochy's birthday. That's very true. All right. Well done. So gap is still 10 points. So we'll just move right along to question number 2. Born in 1965. Apologies for the length of the question. In 1988, the U.S. sent college players to the Olympics, and when the team only won bronze, it triggered the policy change to then send NBA players. Only 2 players from the 1988 team avenged their Olympic loss, and are actually the only 2 that went on to the NBA Hall of Fame. One was David Robinson, who of course was on the Dream Team. The other was this player, who was on the 1996 Dream Team too, and would go on to score 20,000 plus points in the NBA.
We'll check in.
All right. Minimum Verstappen has checked in. The infamous blank DVD. Could talk it out.
Yeah, so for some reason I remember, maybe it was not this question, but something similar asked about the 96 Dream Team and connecting it to someone who was already on previous years or something. And I think the time frame works would be Mitch Richmond. And I think the stats, 20,000 points, seems about right. Do you have anything else, John?
No, I mean the time frame generally makes sense. Don't know a ton about kind of Mitch Richmond early career, other than the King stuff. And it makes sense to me. I don't remember him on the 92 team, so
We'll go with Mitch Richmond for 100 points.
All right. And minimum Verstappen, what'd you have?
Yeah, we both said the same thing, especially when it was like, okay, there's only 2 Hall of Famers, and I know that Mitch Richmond is in the Hall of Fame, and he definitely was on that team, on both of those teams that were referenced. So we also said Mitch Richmond for 100 points.
Both teams are receiving points. Yeah, I went back to look at the roster for the 1988 team, and you can see why they decided to do the Dream Team and why this team lost. I mean, it was Willie Anderson and Bimbo Coles, Jeff Grayer, Thunder Dan Marley, J.R. Reed, Mitch Richmond, and David Robinson, of course, and both Charles Smiths. Or I don't know how would you pluralize that? The Charleses Smith.
Sure, that sounds fine.
Yeah. So yes, it was not an impressive roster, and it's no wonder they took bronze. Head coach was John Thompson. So
I mean, there's some good players on that
there's
team,
some
but
decent talent,
but they
that
were
was-
also young and were playing against professionals from every other country.
That is correct. Yeah, absolutely. All right, we go on to question number 3. Back to baseball. Sorry, John. Born in 1975. Friends of the podcast will recall that Albert Bell has the only 50 double, 50 home run season in Major League Baseball history, or at least those that listened to my last hosting. In 2005, what player put up 50 doubles, 46 home runs, but also won the batting title?
We'll check in.
All right. Minimum Verstappen is checked in. I need an answer in the next 15 seconds from the infamous blank DVD.
We're throwing around a lot of names here. Problem is they're just not fitting. This person would have had to been 30 when they hit this. So, I mean, of the names we have, I think A-Rod is about the right age. He's close to 50 now, which would make it work. Because he was young when he started in the mid-90s. I just don't know about the 50 doubles. Seems like a lot. The home runs I'm not worried about. He's hit that many in a season. It's just 50 doubles and batting title. Seems like a batting title, maybe. 50 doubles, it's just a lot for him. I don't think we have much better. I mean, the only other name we've been bouncing around is Manny Ramirez, and I think he's older. For some reason, I have him with Cleveland in the earlier 90s, which puts him too old for this. So
Yeah, I don't
I
know.
don't
Maybe
know.
pushing me one way hard enough to overrule. I mean,
Yeah.
flip a coin, but either of those is fine with me.
Yeah. I just feel like both those names are too obvious for a fourth quarter question, but I
Problem is, I don't
just
know any of the non-obvious names.
right. That's the problem. I can't think of anyone. There's the names that we have are just not fitting time frame wise because a 30-year-old, so probably late 90s, mid to late 90s to maybe early 2010s player fits this. But yeah, I think A-Rod might give us our best shot because I think he's around 50 now and he was with the Yankees at that point, so he would have been hitting home runs and maybe has a batting title. I don't know. I think I might be our best shot. I'm thinking just from the rest of it.
Yeah, I got nothing
So
better.
we'll go with Alex Rodriguez for 100 points.
And minimum Verstappen.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, A-Rod is one that came up, and he is also right around my age because that's what I had to be thinking because I as well was born in 1975. So someone else who's in that 49-50 age range. But there was one player who, like, he was a good player, but this was by far his best offensive production, who won the National League batting title. And I'm guessing then the way you worded it, he must have been the overall between the AL and NL champs. But that is one Chicago Cub legend, Derek Lee. And so we checked in with him for 100 points.
So one team is receiving points, and yeah, it is Derek Lee. Sorry, Mason. I actually don't know, Josh. Whether he would have won the Major League batting title. They normally say that both guys with the American League and the National League, they give them both a batting quote
You
unquote a
didn't
batting title.
specifically give like an AL or
I didn't
NL.
say. Yeah.
So
No, that's true.
So I'd be
But I
curious.
didn't want to let on which one it was because I didn't want to give that hint. Otherwise, they wouldn't have guessed Alex Rodriguez. But yes, you are. But Josh is 100% correct in the breakdown. I mean, this was by far Derek Lee's best season, and he led the league in hits, doubles, batting average, slugging. I mean, he had on base percentage. I mean, the whole business, and he finished third in the MVP after Pujols and Andrew Jones. So, if he was ever going to win an MVP, this would have clearly been the year to do it. So, anyway, all right. Well, the game is not as close, but it's still possible. So, born in 1985. There were 3 straight number 1 overall NFL draft picks who were born in 1985, and only one was a quarterback. Name all 3.
We're the only one without a draft sicko on our team.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
We'll check in.
The infamous blank DVD has checked in. Minimum Verstappen. We'll give you a couple minutes to talk this out.
Okay, so born in 85 means we were looking somewhere in the late 2000s, and the one quarterback did help because it narrowed down our range because '05 was Alex Smith and '09 was Matt Stafford. So then we had to kind of be working in '06, '08.
And you pretty quickly had Jamarcus Russell,
John helped us out with the '07 with 1/3 of that
So
very
once-
nicely.
Once we ended up having the quarterback, it was like now we had non-quarterbacks flanking his year. So '06, I was pretty sure, is Mario Williams.
Hmm.
And then we were just trying to come up with '08.
Yeah, and then I always get confused. I think this is the Longs draft, but I can never remember if Chris or Jake went first, and it's the O lineman, and I think we're pretty sure it's Jake.
Yeah, Jake was the O-line. Chris is
Yeah.
a D-end, I think.
Right. So I'm pretty sure it was the O lineman that went first. I always
Yes,
get them
I
confused
agree.
because all longs look the same. So yeah, I think we're gonna check in with Mario Williams, Jamarcus Russell, and Jake Long for 100 points.
And the infamous blank DVD. What did you guys have?
Well, the fact that our team name and John's jersey is wearing also happened to be an answer for the last question of the night. It's fitting in a way. Yeah, we kind of latched on this right away. I mean, I was going about it, but the age of the players, like, okay, players getting drafted 21 to 23, give or take a little bit. So I'm gonna fit the time frame. We were thinking about all the quarterbacks for it. And so yeah, it had to be the 2 non-QBs that flanked Jamarcus Russell on either side. And we came up with the very same list of Mario Williams, Jamarcus Russell, and Jake Long for 100 points.
And both teams nailed it exactly. Yeah, Mario Williams was born January 31st, 1985. Jamarcus Russell was August 9th, 1985. Jake Long was May 9th, 1985. Yeah, I was just playing around looking for a 1985 connection. I was like, oh my God, 3 of them in a row. And then John, for those listening, we were talking before we recorded tonight. John shows up at a Jamarcus Russell, and I was thinking, just wait 2 hours when we get to the.
And our team name referenced the
your
DVD.
team name, you're
The blank
wearing the right
DVD.
jersey. All right, I'll have to. Next time I'm writing a game, I'll just call John and ask him what jersey he's wearing, and then go backwards from that.
There you go.
Works well. Well done, everybody. That was really, really, really strong finish. So our game has come to an end, and here are the final scores. The infamous blank DVD finished with a very respectable 695 points. And our clipboard captains of the game, who are receiving the coveted Steve Fuller Award with 885 points, is Minimum Verstappen. All right. Well, let's go to our guest first. John, Jamarcus Russell, anything you want to talk about?
Yeah, no, I'll run my wardrobe by you guys next time ahead of time and try to figure it out. But
Not everybody, just tell me. You don't have to tell everybody. let's be clear.
Thanks so much for having me on. I really appreciate you guys kind of putting the show on for me to listen to, and it's always fun to come on. So thanks for letting me come on and join.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, you're hanging well, and thanks to you and to all of our patrons for your support for the podcast. It's always nice to get supporters of the podcast on the show. So thank you. Anybody else want to throw anything in? Taco, Josh, Mason.
Well, I think on the DVD must have been Derek Lee highlights. That's why we didn't get it right, because we didn't watch the DVD.
Oh, you didn't watch the
That's,
DVD.
I had Derek Lee's stats and highlights and all sorts of stuff on
There
there.
were,
so,
and that was the one season he had a lot of highlights. He did. But
yeah.
It's on
probably
me.
because it was like a standout season for him. It like sticks. It's one of those. It's like, oh yeah, like he was good, but that was the only season he was like great
Yeah,
for a season.
very true.
So
Very true.
I wish I had something to pick on David about. I mean that halftime, please. Put it to rest.
I get to pick on you for not listening to my earlier versions of this. The
Fine.
earlier incarnations.
I've admitted multiple times in this that I don't listen to every episode.
I'm not saying you have to. Just listen to the half times. That's just 2 of them. That's
I mean, we're almost 5 years into this. We're next episode is 300. That's a lot, especially with some of those early. And I know they're not that now, but man, we had some long episodes in the first, definitely the first year, probably the first 2 years. We started slimming things up a bit, a couple of years back, but it's a lot of trivia.
I think it's time to close us out. So on behalf of John and all of our other patrons, Mason, Taco, Josh, and all of the Benchwarmers, this has been David Lux. Hopefully we'll continue to be David Lux for another 100 years. And you've been listening to the Benchwarmers Trivia Podcast. Until next time, we'll keep the bench warm.
That ball hit high and deep. Stretch! Get on back there. They look up. You can put it on the board. Yes!
Into deep left center for Mitchell. And we'll see you tomorrow night.
That great music you're listening to is by Justin Nozick. Thanks to him for producing that music for us. You've been listening to the Benchwarmers Trivia Podcast. Make sure to check us out on all of our social media. We are at BenchwarmersTP.